So I found this post maybe I would say 3 or 4 months ago, but I've been meaning to talk about this. I posted this on LinkedIn and X, but never got a chance to talk about it on YouTube. And the title of the post is this. It was posted in the Y Combinator subreddit. And the title of the post is, why are you working in a space with zero domain expertise? So I think first things first is, I see this every day and I feel like I must be missing something. Why do so many founders choose to work in fields where they have zero expertise? So this hit me hard because I think, there's a lot of reasons why I think founders jump on to building a company super quickly. I think obviously there's excitement, there's FOMO, and there's vibes. Those are probably the three main initial factors that contribute to someone going in to a space and just wanting to build. And I think that's great. I think it's really important to have those attributes, but I think it can also become detrimental as well, where if you don't have enough experience and you don't have enough background knowledge, then you're really just going off your excitement. And that's really dangerous because I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is and how hard it is to build a company. And I think out of those three factors, FOMO and vibes have the biggest impact on motivating a founder. I think founders need to be aware of that. That's really important. The second thing is ambition, right? And I think ambition is 100% important. The third one is status. And I think a lot of founders out there, whether you like to admit it or not, want to do this because it gives them certain benefits. You've got power, money is probably a vanity metric to be called a founder or an entrepreneur. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's really important. Those are really good driving factors. But I think there's a certain limit where you can take this, because if you're just going off status or you're just going off the FOMO and the vibes, then you're not going to really go anywhere long term. And you've got to be super prepared. And then finally, the last one is mission driven and impact. And I think that's probably the most important. If you have the purpose and the mission behind you, then the FOMO, the vibes, the ambition, the status all come with that as a package. And I think that's a really, really potent combination to have. The next thing I want to talk about is a part in the post where it says, you should work on something. Here we go. You should work on something you have experience in. And I think that's completely true. One of the things that I tell a lot of founders, and I've sort of learned myself over the years, is get experience. The other thing I think is really important is early on, get experience by working for someone else. I would say you don't have to go in and start a company immediately. It's best to probably shadow someone that has that experience, try to find a mentor, try to find someone who can show you the ropes, who can guide you along the way and hopefully bring you into the industry. And from that, you can learn as much as you can and then get the insights you need to over time. The other area is finding niche areas that no one is paying attention to. I think this is really key. Once you get that experience and you're sort of like thrown into the industry, then you start to find opportunities. You start to find gaps, you start to find inefficiencies in the industry. And if no one is paying attention to those gaps or opportunities, and you really think it's a huge, huge opportunity, and also it's scalable and profitable, that's when you know you have something really, really interesting. And the thing about this is you don't have to look hard. I think a lot of people go about their day just doing their 9-to-5 thing. But if you're someone who's a bit more aware and you are looking to start a company down the road, and this 9-to-5 job isn't your be all and end all, then while you are in the industry, maybe while you are working in that sector, look for opportunities around you, be more aware of the surroundings, and look for certain gaps and areas where you could improve, and brainstorm what that could look like if you were to start a business around that. And so by doing all of the above, I think the two things that are going to put you in a really good position is that it's going to save you a lot of time. You're not going to have to go to the drawing board over and over again. You've got that experience, you've shadowed someone, you found a mentor, and then it increases your chances of success as well. Because you've been on the ground, you understand the problem intimately, and you know it firsthand that no one else has been able to discover or really put focus on. I think that's going to set you up for immense success. Now, in the third paragraph, obviously this doesn't apply if you are building some consumer product. The catch is that you should build a product that you personally use. It's the same principle. Yes and no. I think I would push back against this, and I would say that you still need to have experience and background in consumer products as well. Whether you're not working in the industry by that point, I think you should throw yourself in that industry and do as much research as you can before devoting money, time, effort, people's resources into building this venture. I think it's really important to just immerse yourself in the problem, immerse yourself in the industry and just understand it. You might be getting a part-time job as a waiter if you're interested in the restaurant industry. It could be a part-time role or a casual role working at a hotel just to get a feel of how accommodation works, right? And I think it's all about testing the market. I think if you can find a way to poke the market a little bit with the product, get user feedback, do pilot programs, do free trials, I think that's going to be really important because it's going to accelerate your learning. It's going to really push your knowledge and give you a lot of insights that no one else has been able to get out of this. Now, one thing that I do want to touch on is, why do people do this? I think we kind of address some of the fixes that we can do to help with this, but it doesn't address the underlying problem. And the problem is, why are people still doing this? Why do people feel like they know so much about an industry when in fact they actually don't? And this sort of like inexperience still pushes them to go into an industry. And I think there is one phenomenon that I really want to touch on, and that is sort of the famous Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Because I think all humans are ambitious. Everyone wants to make an impact. Everyone's creative and everyone wants to just give it a go. And so with the Dunning-Kruger effect, that speaks true to that sort of description where, on the y-axis you have confidence, on the x-axis you have knowledge. And the thing about the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you don't know what it is it's just a curve that basically represents the amount of confidence that one person has relative to their knowledge. So with founders, at the beginning, they're really, really motivated. Like I said at the beginning, they're really excited about starting a company. So their confidence explodes. They are sort of at the peak of, some would say, Mount Stupid, I guess, but not knowing that as the knowledge gets harder and harder to acquire, that level of confidence goes down. So you sort of reach this pit of despair where the founders don't really know what's going on. They feel like they can want to give up. They feel like this was a mistake in the end. And, this is probably the wrong way to go about it. And so eventually, if you push hard enough, then you acquire enough knowledge, then that founder, that entrepreneur will start to gain enough expertise, enough experience, and that curve will slowly rise back up again to better confidence and more knowledge acquisition at the same time. I think it speaks to human nature. It speaks to all of us. And I think all of us will go through this whether we like it or not. I think if we're careful, we can sort of minimize the gap between the peak and the despair. We'll still go through that little hump. If we can minimize that gap by becoming more self-aware of the things we do know and the things we don't know, then I think that's going to set us up for success. And one framework that I want to show you guys that really resonated with me was a really cool post by John Rush is how do you start that idea, right? And there's a best way, a good way, an okay way, and a bad way. I think first and foremost, the bad part is technology. Don't build a company purely off technology. Don't build it purely off AI or whatever is happening right now and building an application. You're doing everything in reverse at that point. And the best way is solving a problem for yourself. Like, what are your problems? What are your pains? And if you can find that combination of ID, pain, something that you're dealing with personally, and then you combine it with the knowledge that you have, the experience that you have in the industry, and then combining that with, putting together an idea, a product, then that's a really great idea. And then side note, interestingly enough, would be to take an idea that's done really well, provided that you have enough background experience in that field, clone it and do something different about it and differentiate, because there's always room for differentiation, so as long as you have deep experience in that field. So I hope this helps. I love the diagram. I love this post. I think it resonated with me. It resonated with a lot of people. Even Gary Tan, the Y Combinator CEO, even retweeted it himself. And I think there's a lot of people who are going through this, who want to figure out what the next steps are. And I just want to make sure that when you do start something, you're in it for the long term and your heart and soul is in it, because it is a slog. It's going to be hard. It's going to be fun and exciting. And I want you to do something exciting because you love it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll see you next time. See ya. Bye.